Kandia Haynesworth Designs. Thank you so much for joining in today. You are looking out of my dining room window because you are about to witness a budget-friendly dining room makeover, and we are going to be starting with the windows. Okay, so the color scheme for my dining room is eggplant, gold, and off-white. I purchased a set of 2 broad pocket panels at TJ Maxx for $24.99. Each set have 2 panels included. And so with 2 windows, I would require 4 panels. So this was a $50 investment and it was well spent. Because these eggplant jacquard panels have such a bold print yet a subtle tone-on-tone color, I wanted to pair it with a gold tone insert. I was able to find the sleeve scroll gold panel insert at Walmart at $19.99. And so I bought 2 and I plan to split them in half to cut the cost down and pair them up with both windows. I got to thinking I want valances for both of these windows, and so I went to the fabric store in search of fabric that would pair up nicely up against these rod pocket panels with this jacquard print. However, fabric, a good quality fabric up against this good quality pocket panels were very expensive, and so I came up with the idea of just to go back to TJ Maxx and buy an additional set of panels and make valances out of one of them. So during a recent haul, I was able to get some trim from Hobby Lobby and it was on clearance. And I absolutely love this trim. And it's going to make a nice trim for the valances. I wanted to take a closer look at this tassel fringe that I was able to purchase from Hobby Lobby. It was $9.99 per yard, and this bolt had 12 yards on this bolt. So it would have cost $120 if I had bought it at regular price. But you all know I don't buy at regular price. I either use coupons or I only buy when it's on clearance or a discount. And even using a 40% off coupon still would have put me at $60 or, even $70 even, because it would have just taken $40 off, right? And so I was able to get this on clearance, 12 yards. That would have cost me $120. I was able to get this for $25.87. And today I am working out of my dining room instead of my studio because it's just much easier to iron the panels, sew the panels, or make adjustments, work on the projects for the windows, and get them up to the windows very quickly. And I'm going to be starting with splitting this panel in half. Now, the windows themselves really should have had 4 panels, but each panel was $19.99. So to purchase 4, it would have been $80 for the inside paneling. And so what I decided to do was buy 2 and split them in half, saving myself $40. For this project, I'm going to be using the Brother & Novus 2500D. It is a sewing and embroidery machine. We're not doing any embroidery, and so I'm just going to be sewing. And I have some clips, scissors, I have a marker, I also have some matching thread color and a yardstick. So let's get started. And so I just took it out of the package, and what I'm gonna do is, you see how it folds? The way it's folded perfectly in half. So what I'm going to do is just open it up like so, and then I'm going to take it to the ironing board. Okay, so I wanted to show you what I'm doing here. I'm about to take it to the ironing board, and I wanted to show you that I folded the panel right side to right side, so it's folded in half. And as you can see, instead of using pins, I've used clips because the layers of this and the thickness of this panel, I would have just been fighting through it. And so I'm going to press it straight, all the wrinkles out, but I want to pay a lot of attention to this fold here because this fold is going to become my cutting guide. All right, and this is going to allow me to cut this panel in half very easily. Okay, so I have pressed it at the ironing board, and I'm just going to take off the clips now, open it up and lay it across the table, and then cut up the center where that fold line is, where we made that crease. I'm just going to use this as my cutting mark or my cutting guideline. Okay, so I have split the panel in half and now I have two inserts, saving myself $20 on this window thus far. And so now is a good time to take it back to the ironing board and get the remaining wrinkles out of your panel. Okay, so after you've taken it to the ironing board and got all your wrinkles out, you want to pair up both of the finish hems. Remember, you split this in half, right? And so the raw edges should be facing away from the opening, okay? So here are the raw edges. On one side is going to be facing to your right, and then your other raw edges, which is on this side, is going to be facing towards your left, because this is going to be your opening of your window. And so you want to use that finished hem that's already in your panel. Use it to your advantage. This way you don't have to finish it because it's already finished. So you're going to set one paneling aside because we're going to be working on one side of the window treatment. Just make sure that your finished edge is facing that way towards the opening. And then you want to direct your attention to the raw edges, okay? And so you want to grab your panel, your color contrasting panel, and you want to pay attention to the rod pockets, okay? And you're going to pair up this rod pocket with your cut panel rod pocket, and I'll show you how that's done. Okay, so first you're going to pair up the rod pockets together, okay? So I have the first rod pocket here, and I have the second rod pocket here. Now, the panelings are faced right sides together. So this is right side up, and this is right side down, and it's also matched rod pocket to rod pocket, okay? I want to make sure that it's paired up, and then I'm just going to clip in place. And again, this is one of the reasons why it's good to have these clips, because I would have to literally fight with the fabric to get pins through. They would start bending and so forth. And now remember, we are also gathering all of the layers here. So we have the darkening layer, we have the first layer, and then we have this thick layer, okay? And so I'm just going to pin it, or clip it, not pin it, all the way down, and then I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and I'm just going to sew it all the way down together, but I'm going to sew it past that hemline, okay, because I want to avoid that bulk. So I'm just going to sew it just past that hemline all the way down. Okay, so before I take it to the machine, I wanted to point something out. And so I have clipped all the layers together, right? But if you notice, this panel, which is the raw edge panel, this is starting to fray. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a basting stitch all the way down here first, just to bind all the layers together. And then I'm going to go over the basting stitch with a zigzag stitch, just to kind of cut off that fraying. And then I'm going to add some fray check to the ends of this area that is fraying, okay? And so once again, I'm going to put a basting stitch all the way down, a straight basting stitch, and then I'm going to go over the basting stitch with a zigzag stitch, and that's going to finish it off a bit. So I'm finishing up sewing the panels together, the split panels, and as you can see, the fraying here. And so I'm putting a basting stitch, and then what's going to happen is I'm going to go over it with a zigzag stitch, and that's almost going to like finish it off, almost like serging it. So that will help it from preventing from fraying. But then thereafter, I'm going to be adding some fray check to the edges of it, just to kind of seal those edges, so this way it doesn't fall apart, because I'm not the kind of person that decorates often. So these drapes will have to last for a few years. I think the last time that I decorated my dining room, it was about, I don't know, almost 10 years ago actually. And so, you know, serging the edge, so to speak, with the zigzag stitch and adding a fray check will add longevity to these panels. And so if you look closely, you will see the line here. That was the basting stitch that I did right there. So now I'm just going over it with a zigzag stitch. And remember, this is a couple of layers of fabric, and it is a thick fabric. And so being that I cut it and it was already fraying on that layer before here, I want to make sure that I'm actually sealing it. And so I'm also going to add some fray check to the raw edges of the panel underneath, because I really want to make sure that I've done everything that I could to prevent this from fraying further. And I guess what I also can do is actually cut the excess here with pinking shears. Okay, so I can actually go in and just kind of cut it with pinking shears here and then add the fray check, and then that's like, what, three different things that I've done to try to prevent fraying. So first the basting stitch, then the zigzag stitch, then trimming it with the pinking shears, and then the fray check. So that's 4 different steps, but it's worth it in the long run if I'm expecting this to last for a few years, because it's really fraying a lot. Even as I'm just sitting here, I have a lot of fibers shedding and stuff. So I'm sure that this plan will work. Okay, so both panels have been sewn together. The gold panel that I saved $20 with by cutting it in half, and the jacquard print panel, which was a set of 2 for $24.99. Now all I have to do is get them up on the rod. Okay, so I have finished the panels, and I have also saved myself $40 by cutting one in half and then making one panel for 2 inserts. Okay, so I invested $40 instead of $80, and I was able to make panels for both windows. Now it's time to make the valances.